Welcome. In this video I'm going to be taking a look at this Basicolor 4-device KVM. So this was provided to me by the distributor, but they're not compensating me for this video and they're not reviewing it before I post it. If you find this video helpful and you want to purchase one of these, I'll put a link in the description to it on Amazon, and if you use that link it helps me out a little bit and doesn't cost you anything extra. So a KVM is a device to connect a single keyboard, mouse, and monitor to multiple computers. So the K is for keyboard, V is for video, M is for mouse. So let's open this up. So here's the device itself. So this is a modern KVM. This has HDMI ports, it has USB ports. It's ports in the front. We'll take a closer look at that in a minute. So most of this is going to be cables and such. So this does come with a numeric keypad. So you can switch devices here with the buttons on the front, or you can use a key combination. So if you don't have a keypad, you can use this. We have HDMI cables. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 HDMI cables. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. USB cords and a power cord, and we have an instruction manual. Okay, so here's a product description. So this supports pretty much any system that will take in USB inputs of keyboard and mouse and HDMI outputs. So this will work with Mac, PC, Linux, Raspberry Pi. This would probably work with some game consoles. There's lots of different things that you can hook into this. It has an auto scan function to monitor all computers. It supports display resolutions up to 3840 by 2160, so that's 4K at 60 Hz, 444. It's compatible with HDMI 2.0 and HDCP 2.2. It supports additional USB 2.0 ports, so you can plug in other accessories. And it supports input port virtual display device to avoid host display setting changes. And it supports HDR10 and Dolby Vision. So here we have the product size here, you can read those. So this shows some features, how to set it up, and here are the hotkeys. So I'll be demonstrating this in just a minute, but if you want to read through them, you can pause here. So here's the power adapter, it's 12 volts at 1 amp. So let's take a closer look at this. We have the 4 buttons for the 4 devices here, and we have LED lights here. We have USB 1 and USB 2, so you can plug your accessories in there. And then we have the keyboard mouse ports. So to use the hotkeys, you're going to want to plug the keyboard into one of these ports. So on the back, we have a USB connection to go to each computer. So you plug a keyboard and mouse into here, but you don't need to plug a separate keyboard and mouse cable into here. This can act as a hub. So you just plug one USB port into each device, and it comes with those cables. And then it has the HDMI. So this is a standard USB cable like you'd see on a printer. So I'll unwrap some of these cables here. I have 3 computers ready to go. So I'll plug power into the KVM. Okay, so that beeped. Let's look at the bottom 2 here. There are rubber grips on the bottom. So I'll walk through connecting up one of my computers here. So here's a MacBook. This is probably the 3rd computer in the line I'm going to hook up. So I'll plug in the bottom on PC 3. And I'll plug an HDMI cable on HDMI input 3. So here's the back of the device. And I'll plug those into the side of my MacBook. Okay, so it recognized it as having a keyboard plugged in, but I don't have a keyboard plugged into the KVM yet. I'll do that. So here's a keyboard I'll be plugging in, and that's going to plug into the front. So I'll plug that in here. So I'm on input. It's kind of hard to see with the light on. Let me turn this off for a sec. So input 1 is lit up, so I'll press input 3 there. Also need to plug in my mouse. I'll do the same thing here. So now I can do the setup. I'm also going to plug this into my monitor, which is up here. Now I already have a cable hanging off the back of my monitor, so I'll just plug that in. Otherwise you can use one of the included cables. And that's going to go into the output here. So currently my desktop is extended, but I could set that up for mirroring. Or oftentimes on my Mac I would use it in clamshell mode, so I'd just close the lid and use it like a desktop computer. So next I'm going to connect up this gaming PC. And this monitor on the left has a computer stuck to the back of it, so I'm going to connect up to it. And I have one more MacBook over here to the right, so I'll connect up to it. Okay, so now I have 4 devices hooked up to this. Number 1 is a gaming PC. Number 2 is an Intel NUC computer. Number 3 is a 2015 MacBook Pro. And number 4 is a 2012 MacBook Pro. So I can use the keyboard here to switch between the devices. You want to double tap the asterisk key, and then you can go page up or page down to go to the previous or next port. So this took us from the gaming PC to the Intel NUC. So I did the asterisk twice there and then hit page up or page down. You can also hit 1, 2, 3, or 4 to go to those devices. So you do tap that twice and the number of the device. And that will switch to that device. Now if you don't like that beep, you can type asterisk, asterisk, F11, and that will turn it off. So now I can switch sources without the beep. So there's 2. Did that kind of fast. Am I on 3? Yeah, I went to 3, 4. So this does have an auto cycling function. So say you're monitoring servers and you have a console screen up and you want it to rotate between them. You can do asterisk, asterisk, space, and then you can also change the time here from 3 to 250 seconds. So let's try that. I want to turn the beat back on for my video. There we go. And let's change the seconds. So I think I changed that to 5. So if we look down here, I'm going to speed the video up. You can see it's going between the different inputs. So to turn it off, I'll do the same thing. I'll hit asterisk, asterisk, space. So you can use the hotkeys or you can just press the buttons on the KVM also. So it's very versatile in that way. So I just have this hooked up on my bench here. It's kind of a rat's nest of wires right now, but KVMs are actually supposed to help eliminate wires. The whole reason being is you have one keyboard, one mouse, one monitor for 4 computers. So we have a lot of wires here, but if we actually had 4 monitors, 4 keyboards, 4 mice, we'd have even more. So this eliminates a lot of it. So when you install this in your system, you can do more cable management here than I've done, obviously. If you really have locked in how you want this to look, you could purchase shorter cables to go between your devices. Although one thing I like about this is it comes with all the cables you do need. So to get this up and running, you don't have to purchase anything so long as you already have a keyboard and mouse. And I used a wired keyboard and mouse, but you could also use a wireless one so long as it uses a dongle, which is like one of these things. So this numeric keypad that comes with it is going to work in the same way as the numeric keypad on your keyboard. One thing you need to do is make sure you plug it in one of the keyboard ports over here. So if you're using another USB keyboard, you'd plug that into the other port, and then you could plug your mouse into one of these 2 ports. Like so. So this would come in handy if you're using something like a gaming keyboard that doesn't have a numeric keypad. You could have this sitting over to the side. But you need it plugged into one of these 2 ports because these are the ports that recognize the hotkeys. So if you're like me and you have a lot of computers, this can really come in handy. I think this is really handy on a tech bench like I have here too. As I'm working with different computers, if I need to use a monitor, I don't have to plug and unplug from another computer. I can just use one of the inputs. So I might actually permanently hook this up to 1 or 2 computers, and then I'll have the other inputs free. And then if I'm working on some kind of device, I can plug that in and press a button, then I'm connected up to my monitor, keyboard, and mouse. I also have a Raspberry Pi computer over here that I use for monitoring 3D prints. I could plug that in. I don't use that very often, but when I do, I can just hit a button and I have it brought up. I don't use it enough right now to keep it permanently connected to a monitor. With a KVM, it can always be connected to a monitor, but it's not taking up that monitor from other devices. So we do have a light on the front telling us which input we're using, and it also has device lights here. I think that tells if we're connected. Let's unplug one of these cables here. So that unplugged. Let's see if I hook the USB up. So it looks like that is looking for the HDMI input. Let's see if that'll work without HDMI input. So it will. So if you do have a dedicated monitor on a single computer, but you want to share just the keyboard and mouse, you can use that too. Now you can plug flash drives in here. When you do that, it will mount on the desktop of whatever system you're using. But something to keep in mind is that you need to eject that before you switch inputs. So say you mainly use desktop 1, you might put flash drives in and out here all day, and then occasionally you have to switch to another device. You just need to make sure you eject this. You could remove it or leave it in there, depending on what you're doing. Now, if you wanted to move files between 2 systems, you could stick this in here, copy files to it, eject it, switch to the other device. It'll automatically mount up, copy the files back over, eject it, and then switch back to the first device. So that's the Basicolor 4-device KVM switch. That's all I'm going to cover in this video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. If you like this video, please click like. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I'd appreciate it if you could do that. And thanks for watching. Until next time, goodbye.